the only thing you have to worry about is death, and you're not worried about death, and life is more scary than death, then the risk factor isn't there. Whereas, you know, like it was the way I thought. And so I used to say, oh, people are afraid of death. It's like, if they were really sane, they'd be afraid of life. Because that's more chancy. You don't know what you're getting in life. It's like worse than going to Casino-rama.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Like I can agree with that entirely. And you know, it's so funny because on the occasions when I've ended up in the emergency room, there's always been someone who said to me, well, what happened? Like a professional, I don't know, nurse or somebody. Well, what happened? What went wrong? Like, what was wrong? And I used to look at them like they were nuts. I mean, like, what was the problem? It was life. I mean, like, life.
Welcome to one of the most unique experiences I think any of us is going to have. We're all here for the very same reason, okay? And that is everyone here has tried to end their life 2 or more times. That's become pretty automatic. How many of you think that when the emotions start to go, poof, they're just way up there and you had absolutely no control, there was nothing you could do to stop it?
My goal is just to learn how to take full advantage of this life, I guess.
Oh, I feel I have a lot of inner anger, and comes out in many different ways. I feel much better taking it on the drum set than on somebody else.
I find that very difficult, the ruffle feathers syndrome, as I call it. How do you not get those feathers ruffled to keep the skills of keeping the internal, you know, smooth?
When you become aware of a feeling, the first thing you do, Wendy, is breathe.
I've heard this. I know this. I mean, it's up here. I'm 60. I mean, how long have I heard it? How long do I know it? It's hard to make it go from here to here, from head to heart. And that gets very discouraging.
What happens in your head is that you can only look at the spotlight on the stage. And what seems to be in the spotlight of the stage for so many people here is suicide.
David, this is really having a strong impact.
I can't see the stage. I just feel like I'm in the spotlight.
Right. So the spotlight is all that exists for you right now.
Death was, and suicide was inevitable. And I was sitting on the train tracks, metaphorically, and I could not move off that track, and the train was coming. Some of what I have found helpful over the years is coming back to some of the really basic things and focus on what's happening in my body. My body wants to take care of me. I would self-injure and my body would start to repair itself.
I had this visual image of myself. I mean, I'm small to begin with, but somehow even smaller in this cave, and the walls were closing in, sort of, and I was feeling really claustrophobic almost. It was sort of
Trapped?
Yeah, trapped. That's exactly the word. Trapped, yeah, that's a great word. I like that.
When to cross the river and you can't swim, you gotta cross it, but you can. You know how? You don't know how. Makes you stop right there. And that's fear, I guess.
A lot of people did not grow up learning what emotions were, the functions they served, the names of emotions, or how to describe a lot of them. A lot of the time when I meet people down in the emerge or when people are in crisis, it's about those great big somethings for which we have no name that are so darned uncomfortable that we have to stop whatever it is now.
Sitting here is like so surreal, very emotional, because I felt like for the longest time, like I've been feeling this alone.
You're not alone.
So sorry, guys.
That's fine.
That's the way I felt like too when I first came in here. You know, it was very surreal. I think everyone can probably identify with it, especially like the new people. And then it's, you know, it's okay to cry kind of thing. You know, and that's what I've learned in the past groups as well. So.
Pain needs a voice. If you don't give it a voice, it stays inside and it gets bigger and bigger, and eventually you spontaneously combust.
Any comments on last week's group?
No.
Okay.
That's my first and best emotion. That's easy. I mean, like, whatever happens, get angry.
It's not about the feeling, it's about the behavior.
But I don't need to keep hearing about that, because every time I hear about how badly I behave, then I feel like shit. And when I feel like shit, I get angry, and then it just goes on and on.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself and do what makes you happy. And if these people keep pointing the fingers at you and telling you you're the mess up, telling you you do everything wrong, then at this point in your life, you can't have them there.
I mean, everybody else looks happy. Why the hell did they deserve it? I mean, like, you know, life's so easy, and everybody's so full of platitudes. No, I heard what I heard. My mood isn't the problem, my behavior is.
Yeah.
That's what
And
I heard.
And this is, and that,
Take out the word problem.
yeah.
First of all, take out the word
Yeah.
problem. The behavior that has been engaged in is the coping strategy that you learned somewhere along the way.
Lousy as it may be, exactly.
It's a coping strategy, right? Those coping strategies aren't working anymore, which is probably why you're here.
I had a lot of trouble with last week's group. The biggest thing I'm struggling with right now is just fear. Fear around the topic that we're here to discuss.
Dave, what is the topic you're afraid of?
Just suicide.
Remember that the focus of the group here is not suicide. The focus of the group here is life and skills to make life go easier.
That's an interesting perspective.
Actually, I have to say, after what Dave said, that my day last week in the group was terrible, and it didn't get any better when I got home.
It's like, my health is really bad right now. And doctors blatantly say if I don't have the surgery as soon as possible, in a few years, I don't have a choice if I'm living or not. I don't want to leave in a few years.
I think that's a good thing. The wave will absolutely pass. It'll come at you again and whack you again, but it will continue to pass.
An acquaintance of mine committed suicide last week. So there was a lot of things, you know, going on at one time. I wasn't a great friend of mine, but it's just somebody I've known over a period of time. And he committed suicide, so.
Can I just say he died by suicide?
Died by suicide.
Yeah, he didn't commit a crime.
No, that's right. No, that's right. He died by, it was his choice.
Something, even in this time right now, I'm almost considering going to a church and speaking to a priest, because I just don't understand how life can throw so many, it's not just, oh, one bad thing. It's the past couple months, like, I'm down and I'm getting kicked and kicked and kicked. Like, I don't understand why.
It's better to talk to a pastor. I'm not against Catholicism, but they're more condemning.
I'm not being judgmental, they're more condemning.
You should try talking to a rabbi sometime, man.
When I say the word safe, what does that mean for you?
I think of like a cocoon, because I spent last weekend trying to make my house safe. And I have all these rules now about what stores I can go to and things like that, because I don't trust myself of replenishing.
I had my hand up for a while.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. I didn't
like
see you.
Anybody...
Okay, Belinda.
Just forget it, nothing.
You're making a choice right now. We didn't see you, we apologize for that. So we're giving you an opportunity.
I just want us to maintain the sort of putting up your hands so that we can all get a say in.
Did you have something you wanted to talk about in terms of the question I asked?
Not to self-injure.
Okay.
I really feel like there's a change in the air for me coming in one way or another. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I feel I have to do something about all this.
How do you know you're ready to choose living, to choose a safer behavior that moves you toward life as opposed to away from life?
I went jumping.
Explain for the group what that means.
I went skydiving. I wanted to say goodbye to somebody that I lost a long time ago. So I went jumping. And I opened high, and I just sat in the harness. And I thought about the person I lost, and it wasn't my intent on the last jump that it would be my last jump, but it became my intent on the way down. When I landed, I just sat in the field and let go. That part of my life is over.
And it's these magic moments that we're trying to understand so that other people can understand. It's believing I can do this, and this is doable.
It's like the first time in my life that I'm able to speak, and it's okay.
If I give up my quills, I sort of feel like kind of Samson when his hair got cut off. Or like sort of the snowman that melts in the sunshine. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do without those quills. That's a big one. It's how to be a porcupine without the quills.
Who am I? What am I? Without my quills, am I really a porcupine? Maybe I was a rabbit all along and never realized it.
I think even small change, it can really have a big dramatic impact for me. And it's really overwhelming. And for other people, it's nothing. It's like hardly a change. And they say, oh, it's not going to hurt you. But for me, that's not what I feel. I feel it is a big change.
I got a job yesterday morning, a job offer, which I accepted. And then last night, on the phone, my partner and I decided to take a break from each other after 6 months. It was more what he wanted versus really what I wanted. And I woke up this morning and I thought, okay, I didn't freak out.
What enabled you to make different choices?
I'm telling you, I was sitting here last week and I thought, oh my God, she's putting that triangle on the chart paper again, you know what? And honest to goodness, I thought about that triangle. I really did.
Finally!
And it was like, okay, I've got these feelings and I can either jump to my behaviors or I can think about something else. There's some alternatives or that just kind of changed my view of what this was all about here, so because I had misperceived, that we were all going to sit here and talk about self-harm experiences, and and that's not really the focus,
And I think when you were asking about what makes the changes, what happens, what triggers it, I do think it's the group, and it's having this kind of, it's drawing your attention to things, because, I made the decision that I needed time apart from my partner after the second time we were here.
Just stuck in the washing machine and it wouldn't go off spin. So now it's like, now I can go in the dryer and then have a few sunny days.
Are you really just holding on right now?
Yes. I don't know if I should be here or not. I've been using every coping skill I've had for the last 2 weeks. This morning, I had a run-in with my ex.
The fact that you're saying you're ready to end your life and you've got those horrible feelings and that you're in that tug of war right now is also showing that you're still in a place where you have a thinking brain. Because I gotta tell you, your face in the last 10 minutes has changed. From when I pointed out that it looked like you had barely a tether to hang on to.
As I say, I'm here, and as I say, I didn't know if I should be here.
And?
I guess I was right to come.
You made a good choice. You made a safe choice.
Yeah. Well, after I left group, I went to Emerge. I did the Emerge experience. It was okay. And it worked out fairly well, and I spent 2 days in the crisis unit downstairs.
I often have run to the Emerge, called 911, or made my own way there, hoping to find a safe place, you know. It's like I want someone to save me from what's happening to me in my head. After waiting 6 hours to get in to see a doctor, you're either way worse off than you were when you got there, or you're calmed down and they look at you like, so what's wrong, you know? And I've been asked, what can we do for you? And I'm thinking, no, what can you do for me, actually, is why I'm here.
All they're worried about is how you're behaving, sort of. They're not sort of reading that the behavior is an expression of some very great needs and some deep feelings. And that is so frustrating. I want someone to be able to see underneath that and realize that there's a bigger issue underneath.
You want them to read the behavior.
Yeah.
Well, you're asking for a skill that a lot of people don't have. That's why you need to teach them.
The Emerge is focused very much on physical illness. They almost need to see the blood. We've got to teach them about the emotional break, the emotional bleed that isn't observable.
I don't know how many times I've been dumped on the street at 3 a.m., you know?
Yeah.
And it's just emotionally bleeding, you know, and I'm trying to find a cab and thinking, I hope I have $10 in my wallet to get home, you know, and...
Would it be helpful for you to write some things out for yourself when you're not in crisis that you remembered that you weren't able to say?
A letter that says, hi, my name is, the medications I'm on are. If I present to the emergency department, chances are this is what I'm feeling. These are the things that would be most helpful for me because I may not be able to articulate what I'm going on. And Emerge staff have talked about that being helpful for them because it helps give them some direction.
When I'm having a hard time, I like to keep everybody at bay. I don't want anybody to come near me, and my psychiatrist has said, no, that's not what you need. You need people around you. And I build these walls up in an attempt to protect myself.
It's like the Berlin Wall, and even how I was feeling last week, the last place I wanted to be here was here, but I got here. And I just sort of have to be very, very strict. That's the law. That's what I have to go through. That's how I do it.
I'm hearing a lot more emotional language being used in the room. And so this is sort of a word list of emotions done in pictures.
Yeah, I never realized they were my emotions before. Like, I used to just get them and feel like, you know, it was like my mental health or something, like I'm going loony, was my way of putting it.
Last Monday was the first time that I've had an interaction with him that I didn't end up in a merge or an admission. So that was,
oh wow,
that was a huge one, but I've been,
yay for you.
It took me about 2 hours to calm down, but it was
only 2 hours.
At night, yeah. 2 hours of deep breathing to calm me down.
If we had a star, we would give you a star.
Well, I've been working very hard, and I acknowledge it, and I keep telling people I'm doing this, and I'm doing it for myself now instead of doing it for my medical professionals, which is at the beginning I was doing it for.
Skills found challenging. My living situation and my roommate he took like my bottle of pills, and yeah, I found that challenge because he was really getting violent and shit.
Where did you go?
I went to my friend's place actually.
What you've just shown is you can say, I needed to get out, I was unsafe, I was afraid, I got myself out, I was able to get my need for validation met. Very nice.
And that's a yay for me. Like, that's a big ass yay for me.
Big ass yay for you.
Sure.
Tell us what makes it such a big ass yay for you?
That it was beyond just a yay for me. So big ass, you know, big ass, whatever.
What I haven't had, which makes me nervous, is I haven't had a flashback in 3 weeks. And that's been going on, flashbacks have been going on for like 8 or 10 years. So I don't know why. Makes me a little apprehensive.
The point is that the shoe always drops. Like, it always does. So it's not so much, oh, this is terrible, I have to, you know, the shoe's gonna drop sometime. It's, okay, I know the shoe's gonna drop. What am I gonna do to keep myself well when it does drop?
Yeah, I just really can feel where she is right now. I wouldn't have been here. That's why I wasn't here that time. So for her to be here, that's, like, I look up to her right now. That's amazing. It's a lot of courage.
But I'm just surprised that I'm still alive.
We're glad you're still alive. It means that somewhere along the line, you made a choice. And that was the choice to live. And as Jamie mentioned earlier, that takes a lot of courage.
But like I said, I made 3 attempts. It's very difficult.
You're right, it is.
What can we help you, what sort of a plan can we help you come up with in the last few minutes here that would help you to make it through till then?
I have no hope.
It sounds like you moved from existing or looking for a way to end your life to living.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn powerful.
Well, it's only been going on for a few months, so I'll wait and see.
There is nothing more than living with something and wishing and hoping that it's never going to come back.
Uh-oh, is this something that's now, like, am I getting back to that bad place?
Is any of this related to group ending?
There aren't a lot of outlets for me to socialize because of the communication factor. You know, there's a lot of people who hear that don't even want to take the time to communicate with a deaf person on paper.
I'm still trying to digest a lot of it, and good tools, but it's almost like you need a workshop on how to develop those tools, because they're hard. I think a lot of us have had, problems with our networks. You've had networks that have been very fragile that weren't there when we needed them, or who've had, the backlash of opinions against us or judgments. It's very damaging. So in some ways I'm glad, because I can sort of go back into oblivion in some ways.
You are part of your own network. And what goes on inside, you are your own greatest enemy, but you are also your own best friend. So when there is nobody else in your network, then you start with the skills that you have internally. And working on a network is, for some, a more long-term project.
This group would be great for anyone out there, not just people that have our diagnosis and, you know, had the requirements to get in this group. It's just so many things that we forget about living in this world, you know? And then they're so simple, but it works.
How many of you, when you started this group, thought, there's no way I'm going to last through 20 weeks of this?
No way. I wasn't expecting it at all. It was quite a challenge for me, and quite interesting too, because I'm not used to being in a social environment with this many hearing people. But everybody's been terrific and friendly and understanding and respectful of everybody, and you know, I really appreciated that. It made it so much easier for me to come on a weekly basis.
I was just not ready. Like 6 months went by really fast. And I was pretty sure I wasn't gonna make it through it, but I did. And I'm so glad I did.
Yeah, that 20 weeks goes by and we're still here and alive.
I have a chance now to see if maybe I can find some peace in my life, and it's worth a shot.
It's hard for me to pinpoint exactly what I'm walking away with, you know, except for the triangle, of course.
I was just about to say.
My only other group experience was such a disaster. And like I said in the beginning, that what I took away from that group was I became a smoker. And so I didn't get any new addictions from this group. That was the one, that was number one good thing.
That's a good start.
Yeah, and I actually, you know, learned a lot about self-harm. I never knew that it was an impulse. I didn't know whether it was an addiction or what it was, but I mean, I never thought, you know, like it was just like, you know, I get overwhelmed and, you know, A led to Z, you know, and I didn't know there was a road in between. I'll probably look at this video 20 years from now and laugh at my old age home, but, you know.
Well, at least you're seeing yourself 20 years from now. That's a bonus.
Yeah, that was weird. I never thought that before. Yeah, that was a side effect of this group. Yes. Seeing that there might be 20 years and not choking.
Have a great summer. Keep safe, keep well.
You've done good. You've done good. And you know where we are? Well, I'll put in a call and I'm going to a conference. It's something.
My darling, darling, darling. Good night. Good night. Yeah. You're so welcome. Thank you for sticking with.
Keep safe. Keep safe.
Oh, take a ride on my rocket ship. Look at your problems now. Once so big, now so small, and the world still turns somehow.